memes. We all like them, right? You know, big memes, little memes, white memes, and black and blue memes. Well, what if I told you that there was an artist that makes music that sounds like a meme? Or what if I told you that instead of spending your day listening to high quality tunes, you can instead be wasting a solid hour of your time listening to what sounds like one giant post? And that's why for today's video, I want to take the time to talk about 100 Gecs' latest album, 10,000 Gecs, and question why I even review music in the first place. Alright, so I know the intro was supposed to be all jokes, but I genuinely wasn't kidding when I said that this album sounds like one giant post. I mean, from the lyrical content to the instrumentals to the song titles, this album just sounds like something I wasn't supposed to review seriously, so you know what? I won't. But since I gotta pad this video out for at least 3 minutes, I have to say something that makes sense. So let's start off with the lyrical content that's pretty nonsensical for the most part, with it sounding like they're just saying whatever comes to mind and then throwing in an annoyingly catchy chorus in between to remind us of what the song name is. I mean, I think a perfect example of this would be Doritos and Fritos, with it talking about everything but some mid-grade corn tortilla chips, or how Billy Knows Jamie talks about Jamie possibly wanting to game end someone, but then there are tracks such as Frog on the Floor that's literally just about a frog on the floor at a party, and it's not like the frog does anything spectacular, it just jumps around like a frog, but apparently people like it, so whatever. I mean, I don't know if you guys can tell, but this is the first time I've ever even bothered to actually review 100 Gecs after intentionally avoiding them many times since that stupid horse song came out. But now after actually sitting down and listening to this album, I think I have now solidified my reasoning for not really wanting to listen to them again. But for what it's worth, I can see why people would even enjoy them in the first place, especially with the energy and unique flair that they bring, seeming to make music that you don't have to be some phony music snob to enjoy. But as for the production, I would say it's about as wild and wacky as the lyrics. I mean, for the most part it is hyper pop since that is their main genre, which means that it's going to have a more chaotic electronic sound incorporating guitar and synths alongside some distorted mixing that made for some pretty interesting tracks and some tracks that I absolutely hate, such as Billy Knows Jamie. But before I get into the negatives, let's take in the positives, such as the energy and delivery on some of these tracks, with me mainly liking how the album starts off with the first two songs, Dumbest Girl Alive and 757, and with the intro track it does include the THX sound effect that you'd hear in those older movies, so if you have headphones in, I would highly advise turning them down a notch. But then it quickly moves on into this guitar riff that sounds like it's imitating Crazy Train by Ozzy Osbourne, but kinda not. Regardless, I think it was a pretty nice way to bring in an album, and with the follow-up 757 doing some justice by going full hyperpop, really utilizing the synths and drums to make an absolute banger, and definitely my favorite song from the album. But of course, when looking at the downsides, when talking about all the chaotic energy the instrumental brings, we also gotta talk about how it drowns out the vocals, and how the vocal mixing in general is just all out of whack, with a lot of it sounding completely unintelligible, which is a big pet peeve of mine when it comes to music. And then aside from that, there were also some instrumentals that were just so silly that they honestly came off as annoying, such as Frog on the Floor and I Got My Tooth Removed, with the latter having to be my least liked song off the album. But overall, I don't really know how to feel about this shit, man. I mean, I said it before, it's my first time actually sitting through and listening to 100 Gecs, and I gotta say, I'm not very impressed, but I can't even tell if I was supposed to be. I guess that's why I said I'm not gonna take this album seriously, so to put this on a scale, I'm giving this a Gecs out of 10, being the most Geckiest album I've ever heard. But how do you guys feel about the new 100 Gecs album? What would you rate it? Let me know down in the comments. I like and subscribe, and follow my IG and Twitter, and follow Chocolate on Instagram for more illustrations. And on that note, I'll see you guys on Monday when I cry about how many players the Eagles have lost. Peace.